he? Aubameyang! Oh, brilliant! He took it first time, and with devastating effect. Kountourou by Steve Bold, would you believe it?
I don't want to waste what's left. The storms we
Of the game, according to the referee, and Bergkamp certainly life in hand.
No, I don't want to waste what's left. And on we'll go.
Henri, what a goal!
Dance through the highways till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go.
He's in again, pushed out by Bartes. Wiltor!
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Blind Gooner. Welcome to another show. Listen, I'm joined by Olympiacos fan Stephen Kountourou. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, listen, it's great to have you on. Yeah, we're going to be looking ahead to tonight's big game. So I just want to remind you all to leave a like, do subscribe if you are new to the channel. I'm sure you all know the drill by now. Let's start with, could you just explain to my viewers what it is you do? Because you blog about Olympiacos and football. So yeah, could you just explain what is it you do?
Yeah, sure. I am a contributor for Hellas Football, and it's a site that is run by a lot of massive Greek football fans, and we the aim for us is to distribute as much Greek content, whether it be latest updates on transfers, latest updates on players abroad, the Super League, the Super League 2, the second tier, and the national team, and all in English, because there's not really a mainstream outlet that distributes information about Greek football in English on a consistent basis. So that's kind of what we like to do. We're on Twitter or on Instagram. We have our own website. We have a podcast that we do once a week on Spotify and on Apple Music as well. And I, as a Olympiacos supporter, I tend to do a weekly blog about Olympiacos, any upcoming games they've got, any transfer news, and I sometimes blog about the national team as well. And so that's kind of my role, and I've been doing it for nearly a year, and I really, really enjoy doing it.
Yeah, definitely. And how has your season been going for Olympiacos? How has it been generally this season?
Generally, it's been great. I got to admit, we're top of the Greek Super League by 16 points with one game left to go of the regular season, and then the league splits in two, with the top six fighting for a European place and the bottom six fighting to either, go to the beach early or not get relegated, depending on how big the team is. And so, yeah, it's been a really, really good season domestically. We're still in the Greek Cup, going to try win the double again like we did last season. Europe has been a bit of a mixed bag. We got to the Champions League via the playoffs. We scraped through to third place in our group with City, Porto, and Olympique Marseille. We were pretty dreadful at times, but we just did it. And we then did really well against PSV last time round in the round of 32. Nearly bottled it though in the second leg in Holland, and thankfully we got through in the end. And now we're facing you guys for the 11th and 12th time, which is quite funny. I found it quite hilarious when we drew you guys again.
I don't think many Arsenal fans found it quite hilarious. I think we saw the draw and was like, oh my god, some people thought, okay, revenge could be on the cards. Listen, we all know what happened last season, and then there's other fans just going, we can't, lightning can't strike twice. So yeah, it's very interesting. And you've actually got one of our former players in Sokratis. how is he working out there at Olympiacos?
He's doing okay, actually, Sokratis. It was I've said it before on different streams I've been on. It was such a surprise that we actually went and got him at the time we did, because we were all under the assumption that, oh, the British media are making it up, that he's linked with us. It's just very lazy assumptions that, you know, he's Greek, Greek international, going to come to the biggest club in Greece. But, you know, when it actually was in advanced negotiations, we were really excited. We knew that we wouldn't get him like at peak Sokratis. He was gonna be a bit slow to come back into the fold because of the lack of football he's been playing for you guys, unfortunately, because he wasn't in the squad for the first half of your season. But in time, he's kind of picked up some form. He started to look really good. He did his first, I think he played his first couple of 90-minute games in the last few weeks, and he's been a real leader on the pitch. He's been commanding in where the ball should go in when we gain possession, and he's, you know, you guys know what Sokratis is like at his best. He's a good tackler of the ball, and yeah, I'm really happy to have him at the club. And it's quite ironic that of all the teams that he gets to play first in Europe with us, is you guys.
Is his former club? Yeah, that's mad. That's mad. That really is absolutely insane. Do you think it's, you know, I know you alluded there into your season, you've had sort of like a mixed bag in Europe, and you've been doing quite well domestically. Do you think the lack of fans is having an impact? Because we know that Olympiacos has some very ultra supporters, and you know, we know from previous experiences, and I've personally not been to Olympiacos' stadium myself, but I know fans traveling, Arsenal fans that have been and said that it's quite hostile. So do you actually think that the lack of fans is having an impact?
I think that's one of the reasons why it's such a big loss for us, especially like you said at home, to not have like 30,000 fans just absolutely screaming down the opposing team for 90 minutes, because that's what we sorely miss. I think it was a combination of what a lot of teams have unfortunately had this season due to the COVID situation, which was a lack of pre-season, and then certain personnel who we sold in the summer, like Kostas Tsimikas to Liverpool, obviously, and we lost our right back and captain Omar Alebdelawi to Galatasaray. They were two important players in our team, and they were vital to how we played football, with fast kind of overlapping wing backs who would work hard to attack and join up with the left and right midfielders and then track back at the same time. And so because we didn't have that, and we got a lot older personnel in Jose Holebas, who a lot of Watford fans will remember, and Rafinha, who was a former Bayern Munich player. They're both still very good footballers. The skill was still there for them, but unfortunately, you know, one's 35, one's 36, and we didn't have that speed or that kind of instant sort of impact when gaining the ball back with them. So our style was a little bit more lethargic when we played with them, and now we have Kenny Lala, who we signed from Strasbourg in January, and Oleg Reabchuk, a Moldovan international, who's a fantastic young left back. We've started to play more the style of football you would have seen us play against you guys last time around in the Europa League. So that's a glimmer of hope for us.
Yeah. That's and I wanted to get your opinion on the current Arsenal situation as well. What have you made from an outsider's point of view? What have you made of what's been going on at Arsenal with the appointment of Mikel Arteta and the appointment of you know, with a lot of structure above the, you know, in the hierarchy? What have you made of what's been happening at Arsenal?
Well, it's interesting because I haven't ever watched a team more live at a stadium than Arsenal, because my uncle has a season ticket because he's a massive Arsenal fan. So I would always go. I was going for years on end, just go see a few games a season, and it's amazing. Well, it's not amazing in a good way, actually. It's just strange how how good you guys were way back when you had like prime Alexis Sanchez. Ozil was still an excellent player, and to see the digression now is a bit of a shame, really. Despite you having some fantastic individuals still, obviously, in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Bukayo Saka, who's come through as a fantastic young player, just to name a couple. And I think that I can see a project with Arteta. I feel like he needs time. He needs to be given the full trust to bring in the players he wants. He has started, I feel like, to mold his team a bit more with the amount of players that left in January, including Sokratis, who, I didn't really see him do that much wrong at Arsenal, but at the same time, that's you guys might have a different opinion to me. And yeah, I think you guys are going to get there. There are times when you look fantastic, but then there are also times where you seem to be your own biggest enemy on the pitch, unfortunately, and certain individual mistakes from certain individual players have sort of cost you in the most important moments.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right when you say that it's individual errors that have cost us, because we listen the Burnley at the weekend was a case in point, and then you look in Europe, the Benfica game where we just narrowly made it through. We were in complete control, and then we just had a mad 5 minutes, and then we sort of redeemed ourselves. But that's the thing, and I've said for time that we can't keep doing that. We can't keep doing that, because eventually we're going to come unstuck. And the thing is, you guys have a really good record against us. I don't know what it is, but you guys have a really, really good record against us, and you always seem to turn up against us.
I've looked at the record a couple of times, actually. We have 5 wins to 5 losses against you guys, and that obviously flips over to you guys. And yeah, it's quite a fascinating record. That's why I do like facing you guys, just because of how weird it is. Like, it's not really a rivalry, because we don't face each other that often, but I just find it quite fascinating, the amount of times we've faced you guys, and just the record is almost sort of balanced in a way. I think you've scored 3 more goals than us. I think we have a minus goal difference of 3, like 13 for, 16 against. So that'd be flipped around for you with a +3 goal difference. So it's a weird one. It's a weird exchange whenever we play you guys.
Yeah, it's strange. It's weird. It is so weird, because certain teams just turn up against us, and for whatever reason they just play out of their skins. Let's look back at last year, because what did you make of it over the two-legged tie? What did you make of how that played out?
I was surprised that we got through in the way we did, because normally it's us being on the receiving end of winning at home, going away, and then bottling it in the last minute of the game, or just giving away a silly error to kind of cost us the tie, which is what we nearly did against PSV. And if it wasn't for a late goal from backup striker Hassan, who came on, we would have been out, and you would have been playing PSV now. But yeah, I mean, you guys actually are undefeated against us when we play at home in Bireo. Like, you guys have beaten us in our last 2 games at home, and we've beaten you in our last 2 games at the Emirates. So yeah, I was shocked, surprised, and obviously delighted in the way we got through. And it was a close one, though. I think people make out that we absolutely gave you a hiding, when that wasn't necessarily the case, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it was a combination of both. You guys played I thought you guys played really well in that tie, and then certainly in the second leg, we didn't show up. I remember that the game at the Emirates, we just you guys were all over us. The first leg, we definitely showed up, and I remember watching that game, and because we don't have a good record at your place, I know we've struggled there, over the years, and you guys have made it very difficult for us at your place, and I thought we were pretty comfortable in that game. And I remember, because I was in Australia at the time, so a nice early morning start. And I remember listening to the game thinking, do you know what? Actually, we're not playing too bad. But the second leg, it just all fell apart.
Yeah, maybe there was an essence of, despite you guys having one goal being the away goal in Piraeus, maybe there was a sense of complacency from the team. I know there was a sense of complacency from some fans that I saw on social media, because they all thought, oh, we've won at home. We don't normally win at home, therefore we'll win away. And we made it quite difficult for you, as you've said. And the way in which we scored the goals was, I think, surprising as well. Ultimately, I guess we just dug deeper and we got the result at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I just want to big up everybody in the chat. Melina, Simpy, Kevin, Randy, sorry. Jesus Christ, I'm getting all these names wrong. But yeah, big up all you guys. Steve, the Arsenal misfit as well. A lot of people are not confident, so a lot of people in the chat are suggesting that Olympiacos, you guys could go through over the tie. What's your assessment of how this is going to play out? What do you think could happen?
Well, I was slightly more confident yesterday than I am today. That's normally just me in a nutshell. Sometimes I just think, oh yeah, this is doable, and then on the day I'm just bricking it, thinking, no, we're going to bottle it. We always bottle it. I'm never putting my hopes too high on us doing well, despite the fact I love my team. We always somehow find a way to mess up in Europe somehow. But it's going to be interesting because, as I said to you before we started streaming, and this will probably give a lot of Arsenal fans a bit of positivity. One of our centre-backs, one of our two centre-backs who are still fit, or was still fit, Osonu Bar, who is a very talented, physically gifted, fast player, did have a minor injury that we thought he got over the weekend when we played Lamia in the league, and it seems like he's a doubt for this game. So we might have to play one of our holding midfielders at centre-back along with Sokratis. So Jan Veer, who will probably play at centre-back, is capable of doing that, but he's not a natural centre-back. So I'm sceptical of our chances a bit more now if we don't have that defensive presence in the middle of the park. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how we start, what the lineup will look like now.
Yeah, I'm not confident for this game, just simply because, and you alluded to it a little while ago, that we are architects of our own downfall. So, we get ourselves into good positions, and then it's individual errors that cost us, and it cost us at the weekend against Burnley. It almost cost us against Benfica. So it all depends on what Arsenal turn up as to how this plays out. Because I've said this, that I'd like to see this team play under pressure, because pressure is what we don't deal with very well. And Olympiacos, you guys, it's the kind of team that if we crack under it, then you guys could easily make this a comfortable tie for yourselves. But then, having said that, if all our big stars turn up, then it could be a very different game.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm really worried about, because when the big stars turn up for you guys, it can be game over before the second leg begins. And one of the big problems we had in the previous leg against PSV is that we allowed individuals to dominate the game and nearly kick us out of the tie, because their PSV striker Sahavi, he scored all three of their goals, and it was through silly errors from set pieces, and we allowed him to kind of get into his own space and score some fantastic goals, but they were avoidable goals, a couple of them at the same time. So if we have the same problem, but with a next level striker like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who knows what could happen? Yeah,
and from Olympiacos' point of view, what sort of lineup are you expecting?
Again, with the lineup, it's going to go one of two ways now, because if you had asked me this yesterday, I would have said for sure 4-3-3. Going to have a midfield three of Yann Villa, Andreas Boukalakis, and Madi Camara, and then the back four would be Lala Reabchuk with Sokratis and Usain Bar, Jose Sarr in goal, and we would have played Bruma, our winger on loan from PSV on the right, and then Matteo Valbuena on the left, and then El Arabi up front. But now, with Bar potentially not being available to play, we might have to resort to a 4-2-3-1 and play Yann Villa where Bar would be. Maybe just keep Camara and Andreas Boukalakis as the midfield two, and then bring in Kostas Fortounis, our very, very, very talented attacking midfielder, who's like the talisman of our team. Because he tends to come on in Europe as an impact sub, because we like to counter a lot more. He likes to come in the last half an hour and run with the ball and create a load of problems for the opposing team. But if we're going to play a 4-2-3-1, then he'll start. So that it could go one of two ways.
Yeah. I mean, I actually think, from an Arsenal's point of view as well, we've got to go strong in this game. We've got to see Aubameyang, we've got to see Bukayo Saka, we've got to see Smith Rowe. See, everybody in the chat is not very confident. I say, listen, you guys, everybody's fearful of you guys, and I guess it's because of what happened last season. I suppose it's still fresh. It's still it is still raw, I suppose, because it was very unexpected, and there could be a little bit of fear factor because the players know what happened last season. So it's going to be a very interesting game. It is going to be a very interesting fixture. In your heart of hearts, what do you think the score prediction will be then for tonight and looking ahead to next week as well? Okay.
If I'm going to say it with my heart and not my head, because my head always says different things when it comes to football. My heart's, I'm going to stick with my prediction that I've maintained throughout this whole week of talking to different people. I'm still going to say 2-1 Olympiacos. Whether that means we go through or not remains to be seen. But we'll see. I'll still say 2-1 Olympiacos.
Wow, that's mad. Yeah, I'm going for a. I'm going for. It's very interesting. So if I'm going with my head, then I'm gonna go with probably you guys will probably beat us like 3-1 because I'm just.
Wow, you're more optimistic than me.
Just because, listen, do you know what, mate? When you've seen Arsenal this season and you watch us on a regular basis, it's hard to be more positive because you predict a positive win, then we just get absolutely annihilated, and then you predict a negative win, and then it's completely the reverse. So you never know what Arsenal's going to turn up. So I'm probably. So my head says 3-1 to you guys, and this is just for tonight. And then my heart kind of says 2-2, a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, my head's saying that as well, like 1-1. My head's saying 1-1 or like even loss, but then that's me being a massive pessimist.
Yeah. Comment from Steve Jenkins here said we only just got through against Benfica. So try and win this in the first leg, get the job done. The thing is as well, and we could be, and because it's over 2 legs, we could be really comfortable and then have a calamitous 5 minutes at the end of the tie, which is sort of pretty much what happened last season as well. Like that home leg was so set up for us to just go on and kick on, and we just proper screwed up. And but yeah, so this tie, I'd like to think that the players would have revenge I'd like to think that the players would still be hurting from last season, but then it's Arsenal. Nothing is ever straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, I think players like Aubameyang again will definitely be looking to score this time, especially after his miss at the dying moments of the game last time round at the Emirates, which I couldn't believe he missed that, quite frankly. But I don't know if I think he'll be a bit more clinical this evening.
I got a question. So I've got a question here from Simpy, one of the regulars who currently helps me out on the channel. He says, does the owner having two decent sized clubs affect you? Does he focus more on Nottingham Forest than Olympiacos?
It's weird. I mean, at first we all thought when Evangelos Marinakis first bought Nottingham Forest that they'd be the focus and we'd become, maybe for choice of a better word, a feeder club to them, because obviously Forest have a massive history, rich history in Europe, a rich history in the first division. But so far, it seems like he's been fairly. I mean, this is from an Olympiacos perspective. If we had a Forest fan, he'd probably maybe say differently to me. But it seems to be fairly balanced, regardless of their form this season. Because I know Forest haven't had the best of times this campaign, and they have a couple of great individual players, but for some reason it just hasn't worked for them like it did last time round. I think maybe it was the hangover of losing out on the playoffs on the last day, because that can really affect a team mentally, I imagine. But yeah, I think to answer that question, I think currently, in all honesty, it's probably still slightly more leaning towards Olympiacos, but maybe things could change if Forest ever got promoted to the Premier League and they started to kind of re-establish themselves as a top team. Maybe then, because the ceiling is higher for them in the Premier League than it would be for us in the Greek Super League, then they'd be seen as the main priority and not us. But I think it's all very subjective.
Yeah, and it's listen, the Arsenal fans know all about owners as well. So we're not very happy with our owner.
I'm not surprised, and I don't blame you guys.
What are your thoughts on Stan Kroenke from an outsider's point of view? What are your thoughts?
He just doesn't seem to know what's best for the club at times. I mean, from my honest opinion, I just feel like if he's going to own Arsenal Football Club, he should get people in who actually know how to run a football club, and also actually put some investment into a team that is begging for a bit of investment. And yeah, I just feel like I've seen his track record with other sporting teams, and it's not great. And I really hope that things change for you guys in terms of how you're run, because I feel like that's one of the core reasons why you are where you are at the moment. It's kind of from the top downwards. And if the top isn't doing their job properly, then it's going to filter down into the lower echelons of the football club.
Yeah. And, a lot of people say that they haven't, the Kroenkes haven't spent money. But when you look back at all what we've spent, we've spent a fair bit of money. It's just been on the wrong players.
Yeah.
On the wrong, it's been on the wrong players. Static here is going for a 2-0 Arsenal win. There's some optimism. There's some optimism in the chat. Ian Gould says everyone's giving 2 predictions. Yeah, that's it. I think everyone's giving a head prediction and a heart prediction. And that's.
I just think that's it's just because it's so close. Like I think it's one of those games where it's not like a dead set on who's going to go through and who's not. I think it really is just a flip of the coin at this point. It's just so hard to predict.
Yeah, it's mad. Can I just say as well? Sorry to digress. I've seen a lot of people trolling in the chat. Why don't you just go and get a life and do something constructive with your day rather than just sit making fake accounts and keep trolling? So yeah, go and do everyone a favor and jog on.
What are they saying?
Moderators in the chat, deal with them. Oh, don't worry, mate. Spammers. Do you know what? That's the beauty of YouTube. You get all spammers. I wasn't going to address it, but I've seen about 6 or 7 accounts pop up, and moderators just keep blocking. And there's a few of you in the chat today, so yeah, just keep blocking. It happens, unfortunately. That's the beauty of YouTube. So yeah, let's read some of these genuine comments here. So Cheddar's here says Arsenal will cruise through or Olympiacos will scrap through. Get through scrappily.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We never make it easy for ourselves, Olympiacos. Whenever we do go through it, it's always we always make it very difficult for ourselves. It's never as simple as just cruising through. That's what the qualifiers are for, just to get to a competition.
Yeah. Steve, the Arsenal Misfit, said 1-0 Olympiacos. We were a better team last year and we still lost. I'm not so sure. Were we a better team? I'm not so sure that we were a better team last year, if I'm being honest.
I think if I remember at the time, you guys, I think it's because you guys had that sort of nice sort of honeymoon period with Arteta at the time. So you were going on that great run of form. And then I think that didn't necessarily scupper it, but I think that was a big blow for you guys, because you weren't looking like you were going to finish in a European place via the Premier League. And so the Europa League was and is now still a viable option for you guys to get to the Champions League next season.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that we were better last season. If anything, we were worse. I'm looking at the players we've got now. And I just think there's certain individuals that could cost us the game. There's certain players that listen, we know what they're about. The likes of Granit Xhaka. Yeah. So yeah, there's just I'm not so sure that we were better last season. Joanne Smith says no confidence. Yeah, I think that's a lot of there we go. Steve Jenkins says, how about odds on Xhaka to mess up again? Yeah, what a great comment. Do you know what that is? That is a great comment there.
I watched the highlights of the Burnley game and I saw what happened, and I couldn't believe it, because I think I read it on the the commentary that they normally do as a dialogue when you're looking at a game live on Google or something, or on BBC Sport. And then when I saw the actual highlight, it was like a game. It was like a goal out of FIFA. I couldn't believe it. It was just such a weird mistake to make. It was just very, very odd how it fell to Chris Wood like that.
What do you make of Arteta? Because it divides the opinion. I was in favour of him at the start, not so much now. I'm seeing mistake after mistake. But what's your assessment of Arteta?
Well, I mean, I remember when he was linked with you guys, because he was under Pep Guardiola at Man City, and people thought, oh, he's going to bring like Pep's amazing style of football to Arsenal and it's going to change the club around. And I think you can see what he's trying to implement there. And at times it works, and it's evident on the pitch when it works for you guys. I think he was probably the cheaper option, I imagine, from certain other managers that were available at the time. Yeah, I wouldn't say it hasn't necessarily worked out yet for him. I just feel like he needs to be careful, because this is a pivotal moment in the season. And I think maybe this Europa League exit wouldn't be the nail in the coffin, but it certainly would kind of finalise people's opinions of him. And I think it could also be a situation of Lampard at Chelsea, where it was maybe right move, just wrong time. And maybe a more experienced manager could come in, But then, you know, Unai Emery was a more experienced manager and he won the Europa League with Sevilla multiple times. So I guess sometimes you can also argue it wouldn't really matter who was Arsenal manager because the same outcome could happen unless change is made overall at the club.
Yeah. What do you think is the main problem at Arsenal?
Sometimes it is the tactics. Sometimes it's from what I've heard from a lot of Arsenal fans, which I probably agree with, is the lack of consistency with who starts. And, you know, even if you guys win a game with a team that looks like they've played well, the team gets rotated again. And sometimes rotation is important, especially if you have a bigger squad. But then if rotation isn't necessary and you go into another game and you could have played this pretty much the same team that you played last week, then why don't you? And I think it's also sometimes down to, at times over the last 18 months, it's been down to certain players' attitudes. You know, people have come out and said Ozil's attitude wasn't great, hence why he basically became your social media boffin on 350 grand a week and struck around Mustafi as well. And Kolasinac too, like they apparently all had not very great attitudes. So I think it could be that seeped into the club. And I think maybe they weren't playing for the club; they were just playing for themselves. And maybe now you're starting to get a team with players like Saka, like Emile Smith-Rowe, who are going to play for the club because that's all they know. They know how to, and they want to play for Arsenal. They want to make Arsenal a great club again.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's I think that's like a fair assessment. Listen, guys, we have just about reached the end of the show. Steve, mate, I want to thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you giving up your time to come on and talk to me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, mate. It's been really good fun coming to chat with you about Arsenal and the upcoming game. And yeah, hopefully we get a good game regardless of the winner of this tie, because it's not over yet until the second leg's done. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. And it might be good to reconvene sometime next week, and we can preview that tie and then look back on this tie.
Yeah, I'd be very much up for that. I certainly would love to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys. Well, there you go. That is pretty much the end of the show. I just want to tell you about a couple of things before we wrap up. And I will be back later with my pre-match build-up. So there won't be a watch-along this evening. Those are coming to an end. So I'll be doing my pre-match build-up around about 5 minutes before the teams come out. The teams are announced. And then we can do a little bit of a build-up. And then I will be back after the game with my post-match show. I will be doing a watch-along for the Spurs game at the weekend, which will be my final watch-along for a while. But I've got lots of other content that I'll be bringing to you guys. So all stay tuned. And glad to see a lot of you in the chat commenting on the new intro. So yeah, that's good that you guys like the new intro. And listen, until later, take care, guys, and catch you all for the pre-match build-up.